Hello and welcome back, all 5 of you, wow. My name is Pilot Margent, and what is your opinion of Australia? You know, on one hand you have beautiful mountains, lots of scenery, a lovely culture, and, you know, the slowly reviving coral reef. But on the other hand, you have giant freaking spiders!
Huge! Holy shit!
Yeah, I think it'd probably be for the best if I just never set foot in Australia. Sorry, Darcy. Even though I'm not cut out to be a bushman, and I'm pretty sure you're not either, I know just the fella that could help us get the full scope of what it's like to be a true Australian bushman. Crocodile Dundee is a movie filled to the brim with recognizable quotes, all delivered by our charming Aussie protagonist Mick Crocodile Dundee. Throughout the film, we follow Mick, our very own bush extraordinaire, and Sue, a rich New York City girl, as they both step out of their comfort zones and into brand new worlds they've never experienced before. For the first half of the film, Sue gets to learn what it's like to live in the middle of nowhere, and in the second half, Mick gets thrown into New York City to experience all the love and charm that the Big Apple has to give, which is none. Go figure. But before we get started with the film, why don't you go on down under just to go say good day, mate, to the subscribe button. I upload every Friday, and also I'm a very, very small channel. Could really use your support. Without any further ado though, let's go ahead and hop right into Crocodile Dundee. We open up on Sue having a phone call with her boyfriend Richard about him missing her and wanting her to come back to New York. Sue basically says that she misses him too, but she really wants to stay a bit longer in Australia because she's chasing a story that she heard about a bushman who had his leg chomped off by a crocodile, and somehow he not only survived but also killed the croc in revenge. Seeing how both Richard and Sue are reporters, Richard understands and asks her to be careful, though from what I understand, most New York reporters are more interested in getting
photos of Spider-Man!
Take care now.
Don't worry, I'm a New Yorker.
As is commonly known, all New Yorkers are expert survivalists. Sometime later, Sue gets a lift from a very unstable helicopter pilot to go and meet up with some dude named Wally who claims to know the guy who got his leg bitten off. After almost getting blown away by the helicopter, Wally introduces himself to Sue and neither of them comment on how weird the outfits are. Wally then drives her to the middle of nowhere and Sue doesn't find that worrying for some reason.
Welcome to Walkabout Creek.
What a lovely town.
I took the liberty of booking you into our hotel. I trust that's in order?
Yeah, but they have plenty of vacancies, don't they? Later into the night, Wally and Sue meet up at the Walkabout Saloon so he can introduce her to all the lovely townsfolk. After just a few minutes with everyone here, I'm not entirely unconvinced that Walkabout Creek isn't full of reject Red Dead Redemption characters. Wally eventually starts telling the story about the crocodile dude again, but gets interrupted by a knife being thrown into the bar. Shortly after, Mick Dundee walks in while wrestling a stuffed crocodile and making a scene.
2 beers, all right? One for me. One for me, mate.
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to see his ID first, mate. After ordering him and his pet a drink, Mick introduces himself to Sue and tells her about his company's motto.
Never go out with us. If you do, you'll never come back.
Well, at least they're honest. Mick then starts dancing with Sue while she asks him some questions about him and his croc incident, but they soon get interrupted by some chaps who insist that Mick is a poacher. Not taking too kindly to the accusation, Mick knocks the dude out and continues to dance with this lady. The night wraps up with Mick kissing some dude for monies, and the next day we're off to the bush to see the place where Mick was attacked. On the way there, Sue starts doing her job and asking him some interview questions. One of which was the question, "How old are you?" in which Mick responds,
Dunno. What year is this?
because apparently they don't keep calendars out in the bush. And I'm serious about this too. He doesn't know which year it is, he doesn't know his birthday, he doesn't even know what day of the week it is, and yet this bastard can tell the time by looking at the sun. I'm serious, he does it. His reason for that though is because he was raised by Aborigines. For my US viewers, that's basically the Australian version of a Native American. Mick also reveals that he was married at some point, but he ended up going on a walkabout. What is that? Well, I'll let the film explain it.
That's an Aboriginal habit. It means to wander around and discover new places.
How long were you gone?
Couple of months.
Try 18.
Wonder why she didn't stick around. They continue down the path for a bit, but then get stopped abruptly by a random ass bull. Mick gets out and does a thing with his hand that makes the bull lay down without him having to scare it or hurt it, which yeah, it's cool, but it really didn't solve the problem, did it? Somehow they still managed to get through, and one boat ride later, Wally is dropping Sue and Mick off at the starting point. After saying goodday to Wally, Sue and Mick start to make their way towards the river, and Sue asks about how long it'll be before they get there. Unfortunately for Sue though, Mick is a wee bit sexist.
It's only about another hour to the river, but you being a Sheila, it'll probably take 2.
The fuck even is a Sheila? It's a young lady. Why does that make her slow? When they reach the area where the river was, they head over to Mick's boat to take some pics, and Mick starts to recount the story from his own perspective. We also get to learn a really fun crocodile fact. Take it away, Mickey.
Yeah, see, a croc will grab you, take you down to the bottom of the water, and roll you over and over and over until you stop kicking. Then you take you away to his meat safe somewhere. Tenderise you a bit. Good eating.
Make sure to share that one with your kids. Before bed, preferably. After they finish the convo, Mick takes her to the place he camped directly after the attack. A couple hours later, Mick and Sue are sitting around a campfire, talking a bit about themselves and getting to know each other better. Sue then talks about how she was married at one point and how she used to participate in all kinds of different protests. Because Sue is naturally curious, she asks Mick about his opinions on world matters, but he genuinely just doesn't have an opinion because...
None of my business.
She tries to get him to talk about some more local subjects, which works for a minute, but soon gets interrupted by Mick killing a brown king snake like he's opening a Christmas cracker. Soon after, they go to bed, but sleepy time gets interrupted by the magnificent sound of kangaroo poaching. Just listen to the beauty. Sue gets up and runs over to Mick to ask him to do something about the poachers, but he at first refuses. After a couple seconds of rational thought though, he agrees to helping the hoppy fellas by using a rather creative scare tactic. Well, that is if you consider shooting at the poachers with a dead kangaroo as a disguise creative. As morbid as the scare may be, it does do the trick and the poachers soon run away. The next morning, Mick is getting all the gear ready for the next part of the trek while Sue is taking some notes for a column. He then overhears her saying that the bush feels rather lonely and then scoffs at the idea of her being able to survive as she was out there alone. Because Sue is a badass though, she takes that as a challenge and tells Mick that she's going to meet him at the destination alone. Mick, knowing full well that he's not going to stop her from taking off by herself, lets her go but decides to stay nearby just in case anything does happen. An hour or so later, Sue reaches the next campsite and reveals that for some reason she was wearing a bathing suit under her skirt the whole time. Not really the most ideal outfit for, you know, walking through a snake-infested forest, but hey, to each their own. You know, I'm not sure that... Holy shit! What the fuck? So right as Sue leans down to refill her canteen, a croc grabs hold of the canister and tries to pull her into the water. Luckily for Sue though, Dundee pops out of nowhere and kills the definitely very much real, not an animatronic at all, crocodile. Even though Mick had to jump in at the last second to save Sue, he does have an insane amount of respect for Sue for the rest of the film. Later into the night, Mick and Sue are talking about what Mick said earlier, but he ultimately does take it back. Mid-conversation though, Mick hears something in the trees and takes off for a second. Just then, an Aborigine sneaks up on the campsite when all of a sudden...
Oh, Mick, you frightened shit out of me.
Oh, it's all right. It's a mate of mine, Neville Bell.
Oh. Sup, my dude? Turns out good old Neville here is really just a friendly old city boy despite his creepy introduction. Oh, also his dad is the chief of his and Mick's tribe, so that really just makes things awkward for poor Neville. Sue asks if she can take his picture, but Neville says she can't, so Sue says...
I'm sorry, you believe it'll take your spirit away.
Which is racist, because Neville was just pointing out that her lens cap was on. Neville then looks at his watch and freaks out because apparently he's going to be late to some sort of ceremony his tribe is holding. After he takes off, Mick says that he needs to go to it too since he's part of the tribe. Sue asks if she can go, but Mick says...
Oh, no way. No, women are strictly taboo at these turnouts.
As taboo as it may be though, Sue still goes to the ceremony to take some pictures anyways. Heck yes, Sue! Fight the power! While she's taking pics, Mick notices her, but since no one else has, he doesn't do anything about it. Later into the night, Mick comes back to the campsite and Sue asks him how he knew that she would be there. He says that he wouldn't expect anything less from a reporter, but like, he means that in a good way, I guess?
That croc was gonna eat me alive.
Same thought crossed my mind once or twice.
Oh my gosh, isn't cannibalism so romantic? The next day, Mick and Sue head to the last stop for the bush tour. When they get there, Mick makes some very burnt whatever kind of animal that is, and then they go for a swim. Shortly after, Mick catches a fish, and after kissing him, Sue invites Mick to go back to New York with her so he can experience the big city. Before he can directly say yes though, Wooly interrupts them by calling out... 'cause he's part owl, I guess? Mick and Sue then go meet Wally, who somehow managed to get his car thing over to the island they were on, even though they took a boat there originally. But honestly, I don't even care because look at the doggy! Sue tells Wally that she wants to bring Mick to New York with her, and the next thing you know, they're on the plane going to the Big Apple. How's it going, Mick? That's to be expected. After they finally land in New York, we watch as Sue and Richard reunite, which must be kind of awkward for poor Mick since they literally kissed hours earlier. Mick starts to make his way down the escalator but gets freaked out by the giant feet shredder at the bottom, so it takes him a minute. Once he reaches the bottom though, Richard, Mick and Sue all jump into a limo to hitch a ride to Mick's hotel. Once they reach the entrance, Mick stands around talking to the driver while Richard and Sue make dinner plans for the three of them later. Richard takes off and then Sue escorts Mick up to his room. They take the lift up and I'm sorry, but why is this man allowed to smoke in the tiny ass cabin space. Yeah, I don't get that, but anyways, Mick and Sue reach the room and Mick is busy freaking out about how much space he has in there. He does eventually settle down for a minute, but then he finds a bidet in the loo and just starts freaking out again. Sue at first tries to explain the concept of a bidet to him, but gives up. On the bright side though, he does figure it out on his own.
For washing your backside, right?
After Sue heads out to get ready for dinner, Mick decides to go for a walk in the city, but eventually gets lost and hangs onto a light pole to see where he is. He then hitches a ride from a kind po-po horse and then gets ready for dinner. At the restaurant, Sue finds Richard sat at the bar already buzzed out of his mind. Even though he can't see straight, they all do try to have a nice dinner, but Richard ultimately ruins it by being a dick, and so Mick repays the favor by knocking him out. Immediately after, all three of them are sat inside of a cab taking a ride back to Richard's place. When they get there, Sue takes Richard inside to nurse him back to health, and Mick asks the cabbie to take him somewhere that he can drink. After a very poorly aged homophobic bar scene, Mick steps outside and starts talking to a couple of ladies of the night. They offer to service him, but he doesn't get the concept and is talking to them rather genuinely. All of a sudden though, the pimp comes out of nowhere and says,
Are you gonna talk all night, my man? Are you gonna screw one?
to which Mick responds by, I feel like that was justified. Mick then drives his freaking cabbie home, and the next day he sits in his bathtub washing his clothes as best he can. Later on, Sue takes Mick picture taking and sightseeing, and after that they go to a party together. The next day, Mick spends some time catching up with his Aussie pals while the poor thing is doing its best to survive in such a rough atmosphere. Now, some of you were probably very patiently waiting for this part of the film. In fact, I would even say that the majority of you clicked on this video just to see this one part. So, Mick and Sue are walking around NYC when a group of kids jump out from around the corner attempting to mug the couple. Sue is absolutely petrified of the situation and tells Mick to hand over his wallet because the kid has a knife. Mick then says,
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
and begins to cut the kid's jacket to shreds. Sue and Mick then kiss again, but like, what about Richard? They're still dating, dude. The next day, Sue is at work when Richard comes up to talk to her about going to her dad's for dinner that night. Before he can finish inviting her though, her dad comes by to say hello to Sue and invites her himself, which makes a lot more sense than Richard inviting her to her dad's house. She of course agrees, and Mick of course is also invited. So later that night, Richard, Sue and Mick all head to Sue's family manor. When they arrive, Sue's dad comes over to greet them and Mick spends some time charming everyone there. A little bit later, it's time for dinner and everything is fine and dandy until Richard proposes to Sue, and for some sodding reason she accepts. This of course devastates Mick, and so he makes his way outside and asks Gus, the limo driver, to take him to his hotel and to a liquor store. Gus does end up giving Mick a bottle of something, but then he drops him off in the middle of Times Square for some reason. Mick spends some time roaming around drunkenly until he runs into the pimp from earlier who's looking to get revenge on Mick, but Gus comes in right on time and helps by boomeranging one of them in the head. Because of course he did. The next day, Sue keeps trying to call Mick's room, but he's not answering because he's getting ready to leave New York. On his way out, he stops to talk to the doorman and tells him that he's going to be going on a walkabout to see America, and then he heads off to the tube station. Shortly after, Sue pulls up to the hotel to go see Mick, but the doorman stops her and tells her that he's already headed to the train station. Sue then takes off as fast as she can to go find Mick, and she gets there right on time. She then starts trying to get his attention by shouting at him from the staircase, but she doesn't have any luck. Fortunately, a couple of the other people waiting for the train are able to help her communicate a message that basically boils down to Sue telling Mick that she's not going to marry Richard because she loves Mick. Mick then tries to make his way over to Sue, but he doesn't have any luck getting through the people, so he does the next best thing and walks on top of the people's heads. When he gets to Sue, they kiss, and the movie ends just like that. I'm really torn on whether or not that was a good or a bad ending. I'm going to be honest. When I told people that I was going to be reviewing Crocodile Dundee, there were a lot of people that were like, oh, I absolutely love that movie. Oh, I absolutely loved seeing that movie whenever I was a kid. Oh, it was a great movie. It was really, really good. But honestly, I don't see it. I don't like this movie. I mean, yeah, the lighting was good. The audio quality was good. The characters, at least the main characters, were lightly rounded. They're not well rounded. The script had a lot of memorable quotes in there. The story was, I don't know if it was well put together, but it was put together somewhat. There's a lot of strong qualities for the film to be decent whenever it comes down to the production side of everything. But what ultimately ruins it for me is how poorly it aged. You've got racist jokes, you've got sexist jokes, you have very, very strong homophobic just scripting throughout the entirety of the film. It didn't age well. Yes, the film did have quotable lines that I will find myself saying from time to time, and it had a lot of funny moments. It was funny. But ultimately, it's a project from a different time. I can't honestly say that I recommend it. So go watch, I don't know, Horton Hears a Who. That was pretty good. Either way though, I can definitely say watching this was an experience. Other than that though, that's all from me today. If you like this video, then please like this video. If you have anything you want me to watch, movies, videos, shows, just leave it down in the comments and I'll get back to you. And last but not least, if you want to see more from me, please consider subscribing. I do upload every Friday and I'm a very small channel. I desperately need the support. But yeah, that's gonna be it. So thank you so much for watching and I hope you have a lovely day. If you ever go out with us, you'll never, ever come back.